Hadley, thanks for joining me today.
Oh, my pleasure.
Hadley, iAnthus, when we last spoke, was focused on investing as a royalty company in primarily U.S. marijuana operations. Is that still the case?
No, we changed the model about a year ago. We found out very early on that the investment community was much more interested in having access to real operations in the United States. So we're now an owner-operator. We own 100% of every market we go into. So we've got 100% ownership in Vermont, Massachusetts, New York, Florida. We have an addressable market of about 48 million people on the East Coast, and an average number of competitors about 12 across that addressable market.
Okay, so you're now a licensed producer in those states.
Absolutely. Vertically integrated, we grow, process, and sell.
Sure, and how has that impacted your market cap?
Well, it seems to have been pretty positively received. I think the market cap's probably up 2.5 times in the last couple of months as we've executed on that plan. It's been a busy 2 months. We actually have converted our investments in Mass and Vermont into 100% ownership. And we acquired our license in New York, and we acquired our license in Florida. So the last 2 months have been pretty telling from an operational perspective. And fortunately, to date, knock on wood, or whatever this table is made out of, we have seen the market reward us for that.
Sure. Do you see the Canadian market as giving companies way more of a premium than companies operating in the U.S. at this point?
Well, I think that's true right now. Now, from an investment perspective, it is against the law on a federal basis in the U.S., so I'd expect the U.S. companies to trade at a discount to the opportunities that the Canadian guys have. And I'd also say it's a little bit of an anomaly. I think the markets typically get a sector right, but they may not get the allocation amongst those companies. So, I think the market probably valuing the opportunity in Canada at the multiple billions that it does is probably right. I don't really have a view on whether they've allocated it correctly among the companies. Clearly, in the U.S., the opportunity hasn't been recognized or manifested in the market cap of all the public companies yet.
So that remains an opportunity for investors if Jeff Sessions in the Cole memo rescinding is reversed.
Yeah, well, it should ultimately will be. I don't think that anyone should invest or work or spend their time in the market if they don't think it's going to be ultimately a regular way market. I mean, we all believe that it's going one direction over time. Now, you're going to have instances where you go 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I like to tell investors that 1 step back is a great entry point. The stock's on sale at that point.
You bet, you bet. That's the way I look at it too. Okay, so tell me about how many patients do you serve currently, and are you focused on exclusively medical, or are you making preparations for recreational in certain markets?
In certain markets, Massachusetts will be a full rec market July 1st, so we're making preparations for that. New York is medical only. I think there's probably 40 or 50,000 registered patients. We haven't begun sales yet. We'll have revenue probably in the second quarter. Florida probably has 60 or 70,000 registered patients. We're one of the 13 license holders there. And we should probably have revenue sometime in the first quarter there.
So how much cannabis do you produce currently?
Again, that varies state by state. And our big 3 markets, Mass, Florida, and New York, we haven't begun sales yet, but we have we have tremendous potential. In Florida, we've got 200,000 square feet of indoor grow. We've probably got about 5,000 or 6,000 square feet of canopy there right now. Mass, we've got about 36,000 square feet. That's in the veg state right now. We'll probably have our first crop sometime in the second quarter. And then New York, we're just beginning construction of the grow facility.
Very cool. So in 2018, what are the big catalysts for iAnthus and its shareholders?
You've got a number of catalysts in 2018. We're going to be building out and opening a number of dispensaries. So in Massachusetts, our Harvard Avenue store, one of only 3 stores in the city of Boston, will be open. We've got a great location in another city in Boston. We haven't publicly announced the city yet, but that'll be announced and opening. In New York, we've been given Brooklyn, a city of 2.6 million people. Only one other competitor will be opening that dispensary in 2018. Also in Staten Island, a city of 500,000, we're the only dispensary on the island that will open. Our grow in Holliston, Mass. will have its first crop. We'll begin construction in New York. In Florida, we'll continue to expand the cultivation. We'll keep investors apprised of that. We signed our first lease for a dispensary in West Palm. That will open up sometime in 2018. We'll have another 2, 3, 4 dispensaries open. Deliveries allowed, so we'll start to see real revenue ramp in all those markets.
So the ability to own a growing operation and an extraction secondary product manufacturing facility and a retail storefront dispensary are all possible in all of these states?
That's all possible. We're vertically integrated. So
Wow.
as I like to point out to investors, and they have a choice to be north or south of the border, when you're south of the border, you're getting a retail margin. North of the border, you're getting a wholesale margin. So, I think people will be very excited in Canada if they could sell product at $6 or $7 a gram.
Yep.
We're selling product, $10, $11, $12 a gram, and we get to capture all that retail margin as part of the value for the investor.
Right. What is the average cost per gram of production in your operation?
That varies widely depending upon which state you're in, which methods you're using. But we'll typically be between $1.50 to $2 a gram.
Okay.
It'll be a little bit less if you're shifting towards greenhouse, a bit more if you're indoor.
And so, do you have? Are you able to articulate your cost of sales across the entire operation, or is it very dramatic?
Well, we've got it all. We've got it all in a spreadsheet right now.
Okay.
But we would expect to see EBITDA margins in the mid to low 30s, I would think, on a steady state basis.
Oh, very
so pretty good margins.
Sure. So can I ask you, what does the whole revenue picture look like in 2018 for iAnthus?
It's a little bit of a wild card because we're growing, we're building, so it's really when do you open? Because if you're opening in April versus May, that has a big impact for the year's revenues. But my guess would be we'd kind of be 20 to 30 million of revenue in 2018, and that would ramp 3x, 4x going into 2019, because it's all greenfield. 48 million person addressable market, greenfield operations. That's going to be an incredibly fast ramp. The way that we like to think about it, my background back in the 90s was really from a telecom perspective. You have businesses like cellular, and people say, "Oh, I've got a license. Well, what's that worth?" And they talked about pops, price per pop. In the cable business, you had subscribers, and it was price per sub. We like to think about it from a dispensary perspective. A well-located dispensary in a market with high barriers to entry, which would be pretty much all of our dispensary locations, can generate 10 to 15 million of revenue. So, as we open up dispensaries, an investor can think that's a marker for how much potential revenue can be there. And we've got the ability to open 4 very high revenue dispensaries in New York, 3 in Massachusetts, including Boston, which could be an absolute home run, 1 of 3 in a full rec city of 700,000 people. And then Florida, we have the ability to open 25 dispensaries. So
25 dispensaries.
Yeah, so you kind of run that math. And for instance, our dispensary that we just signed a lease on in West Palm, 70,000 cars go by every day, and we've got ample parking. There's probably 300,000 people within a 10-mile drive, and we have no competition within that 10-mile circle.
Wow.
So the potential for driving very large amounts of revenue and ramping very quickly is quite promising.
Awesome. Okay, well, Hadley, let's leave it there for now. We'll come back to you in a quarter's time, and we'll see how your numbers are working out for you. Thanks for coming in today.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.